hard work, reliability, obedience. They told you this is strength. In reality, it's the leash around your neck. True value isn't built on being agreeable, it's built on being irreplaceable. And no one understood this better than Machiavelli, the strategist who taught rulers how to turn relevance into power. Because what makes you liked never makes you valuable. And what makes you valuable can make you untouchable. In this video, you'll learn how Machiavelli's tactics build power, and the hidden move revealed at the end that locks people to you. In the game of power, there are only two types of people, the ones who crave attention and the ones who create control. The first are noisy, desperate to be noticed. The second move in silence, and it's that silence that makes them feared. Attention burns out fast. Control, once built, becomes gravity. If you want real power, you don't compete to be visible. You compete to be necessary. Necessity is the heart of Machiavelli's dependency trap. When people realize they can't function without you, the bond stops being voluntary. Walking away from you feels like pulling the plug on their own survival. That is influence at its most dangerous. And it doesn't come from being liked. It comes from making yourself too useful to lose. The modern world teaches the wrong game. It tells you to collect approval, applause, praise, validation. But Machiavelli knew the truth: approval fades, dependence endures. Love is fickle, fear can break, but dependence is a cage people build for themselves. To be dangerously valuable means you hold something irreplaceable, a resource, a talent, a solution they can't generate on their own. And you give it with precision. Never too much, never all at once. If they get everything, they stop appreciating. So you ration your value, sharp, concentrated doses that solve what matters most, while leaving a trace of uncertainty. Solve the problem no one else can, then step back. The silence you leave behind will remind them that stability was never theirs. It was yours. That is the trap. You don't chain people through fear alone. You chain them by making yourself the anchor in their chaos. And once they feel that anchor slipping, they'll fight to keep you close, not out of loyalty, but out of self-preservation. You want them close to grasping your value, but never fully. That tension breeds addiction. They return not because you ask, but because their mind now sees you as the answer. That's loyalty without promises, influence without begging. Withdraw with intent. Let absence prove worth. Most people give value, then cling, desperate to stay needed. Machiavelli would advise the opposite: step back. When you vanish, even briefly, people feel the cracks. They realize you weren't part of the structure, you were the structure. That's when respect turns into dependence. Never allow yourself to be replaceable. People don't treasure what can be copied. True power lies in owning what others can't duplicate, whether it's a rare skill, a unique combination, or silent results delivered without drama. Even better, be the one who holds the knowledge, the shortcuts, the hidden flaws. The keystone. If they lose you, everything shakes. You never need to say it. Just let your silence remind them. Smile, deliver, disappear, and let the fear of your absence work for you. The crowd chases attention. The Machiavellian chases necessity. He wants others to dread his absence more than they enjoy his presence. That is dangerous value, not claimed, but whispered when you leave the room. Because men are fickle, greedy, and ungrateful. If your worth rests only on kindness, you'll be discarded the moment you're no longer useful. The answer is a trap they can't escape: invisible loyalty, emotional debt. Most give help and demand thanks. Machiavelli would laugh, because spoken favors can be repaid. Silent ones linger forever. Most people help and then beg for credit. They want thanks, applause, recognition. Machiavelli saw that as wasted leverage. A debt spoken can be cleared. A debt unspoken lingers. So help them at their weakest, then stay silent. Don't remind, don't repeat. Let the weight sit in their mind. Act as if it cost you nothing, even when it did. That illusion multiplies its weight. They'll replay the moment again and again, trying to decode your motive, wondering what you expect in return. In their mind, they begin to write a story where they owe you everything. You never said a word, they created the debt themselves. An invented debt chain stronger than spoken promises. This is emotional debt. It spreads quietly, corrodes slowly, and bends even proud men into silent compliance. Not out of fear, but out of a gnawing sense they can't betray you. Absence sharpens the effect. Most never test their true value because they never leave, but Machiavelli's trap works in the void, not the spotlight. The tactic is simple: after a victory, after you fix a system, after you lend support, disappear. Not forever, just long enough for contrast. It forces them to re-experience the chaos before you arrived, to notice the silence where your effort once was. Suddenly the invisible becomes visible. Suddenly they realize you weren't helping the structure, you were the structure. That is where fear forms. Not fear of you, but fear of what life looks like without you. That's when your value crystallizes. That's when your silence carries more weight than any claim you could make. And that's when people begin to defend you in rooms you're not in, not because they love you, but because they can't afford to lose you again. Control is born not only from what you give, but from how you allow it to be received. This is the trap most leaders never see. They hand people gifts openly, and then are shocked when those same people no longer listen. Machiavelli's correction was brutal but effective: remain the gatekeeper. Always shape the flow, but never make the control obvious. For example, you never reply instantly. You never solve without first probing. You always give, but under rules that subtly shift. Over time, this rhythm becomes law in their minds. They start aligning their timing to yours, planning actions around your cadence, bending to your frame of reality. And once someone adjusts their behavior to match your patterns, submission has already begun. The secret is balance. Too much certainty breeds rebellion. Too much comfort breeds neglect. To hold people, you keep them slightly destabilized, not so much that you look like the enemy, but just enough that you appear as the only stabilizing force. That tension keeps them orbiting you. Here lies the principle: praise, then pull back. Encourage, then withhold. Offer opportunity, but never full approval. This cycle creates pursuit. It makes them crave your validation more than any reward. Once someone is chasing your approval, you never have to chase theirs. They'll bind themselves to you in search of completion. In the end, control belongs to whoever controls hope. Not fear, not dominance, not even greed, but hope. Hope directs the future. Master hope, and you master their trajectory. Plant visions in their minds of what they could become. Speak to ambitions no one else touches. Show them a glimpse of the next level, but keep the door half closed. The desire to reach through it will keep them yours. People are addicted to the idea of becoming more than they are. If they believe you hold the key to that greater self, they won't just stay, they'll defend you. They'll sacrifice for you. They'll silence their doubts just to preserve the story you've given them. When someone ties their hope to your presence, they'll destroy themselves before they ever betray you. You're not chasing applause. You're not buying loyalty. You're not building fans. You're constructing a trap woven from psychological gravity, debts they can't erase, rules they obey without noticing, distance they fear, uncertainty they crave, and hope they anchor to you. This is Machiavelli's true formula: not giving more, but giving what can't be replaced, then stepping back just long enough for panic to set in. They won't admit it, but privately they'll protect you like oxygen. Not out of love, not out of admiration, but out of need. This is why CEOs survive scandal, why billionaires outlast collapse, why tyrants are shielded by those they exploit. It's not charisma, not raw force, not respect. It's dependence. Once people are bound to the system that sustains them, they won't rebel. They'll rationalize, obey, and submit. That's the final stage of Machiavelli's dependency trap, not just being needed, but creating a reality where your absence equals collapse. So don't be the star. Be the system. Stars get applause and blame when things break. Systems stay invisible, yet irreplaceable. In business, don't just perform, build the process that carries everyone else. Be the only one who knows the why behind the how. In a group, become the connector, the glue. If you step away, the whole thing fractures. In relationships, be the calm in their chaos, the order in their disarray. Provide rhythm, structure, and then stop. Let the silence expose your role. When you're the structure, your value goes unseen until you're gone, then it becomes undeniable. Spread your influence wide, then weave the threads. Dependence doesn't come from doing everything for one person. It comes from embedding yourself into many places at once, so removing you unravels everything. Think like a spider. Don't crush the prey. Control the web. In teams, give insights that 3 people rely on. In families, bridge the members who can't stand each other. In companies, build systems that span across departments and leave no obvious trace. Over time, they forget the source. They just assume the stability was always there. And that's when you own it completely. And then one day, just a single thread pulled, and the whole design unravels. That isn't sabotage. That's proof. That's the moment they finally understand you weren't part of the foundation, you were the foundation. And from then on, they'll do whatever it takes to avoid ever feeling that collapse again. Introduce instability that only you can stabilize. This is one of the darkest Machiavellian methods, used by elite tacticians, politicians, and cult leaders alike. Create complexity, then crown yourself as the interpreter. Here's the dynamic: add just enough confusion to make others doubt their own competence. Let them lean on you to translate the chaos into clarity. Bit by bit, persuade them that they aren't capable of managing things alone. That's how financial advisors keep clients dependent. How technical experts carve out permanent job security. How manipulators make lovers distrust their own instincts. It isn't about deception. It's about positioning yourself as the only one who can see through the fog. They lose trust in themselves. They start checking with you before they move. And over time, they forget how to operate without your voice guiding them. That's when you win, because it isn't a chain on their wrist. It's an echo in their mind that sounds like you, whispering, "Don't move until I give permission." Anchor your value to their identity, not their role. Most people make themselves useful inside a position. But roles shift. Jobs end. Relationships evolve. Teams dissolve. If you want enduring power, you can't root yourself in what someone does, you must root yourself in who they are. Find the fracture in their self-image, and repair it. Uncover what they secretly crave to believe about themselves, and feed it back to them. Speak the line that locks in their self-concept, and tie that line directly to your presence. For example, to a partner, you're the only one with real clarity. To a colleague, you're the voice everyone listens to, even if they pretend not to. To a friend, you are the calm that keeps the room steady. And here's where the trap closes. Over time, they begin to link that identity reinforcement to you. And if you step away, that piece of them vanishes with you. That isn't just manipulation, it's psychological fusion. You've become embedded in their sense of self. And people will abandon their gods before they abandon their own identity. Make yourself inseparable from their survival instinct. This is the final Machiavellian lock: convince people you are the only way forward. Not through open threats, not through visible chains, but through results. They tried without you, failure. You entered, order returned. Now the thought of moving ahead without you feels impossible. This pattern repeats everywhere, in business, in relationships, in influence, in power. When someone fuses their progress with your presence, you gain leverage they cannot strip away. And once that leverage exists, they will excuse your silence, defend your distance, and forgive your boundaries. In their mind, you've ceased being just a person, you've become a pillar. And to remove a pillar is to invite collapse. That is the essence of true Machiavellian power. Not noise. Not force. But irreplaceable necessity. Not through force. Not through fear. But through systemic necessity. You are the mechanism. You are the cadence. You are the solution woven so deeply into their reality that removing you unravels everything. They can complain, argue, resist, but when the cracks appear, they'll remember who held it all together. And they'll return. Not because you begged, but because you left them no alternative. Real power isn't loud. It isn't earned by working harder than everyone else. It isn't preserved by shouting or endlessly proving yourself. It's preserved by absence. By the void you create. By the silence you command. Machiavelli never aimed to be seen at all times, he aimed to be felt at all times. Once your presence is embedded in people's routines, decisions, and thoughts, you don't need to stand in the room. Your influence outlives your involvement. That is the final phase of the dependency trap. The moment your name becomes untouchable, and your presence unforgettable. The mistake most powerful men make is staying too long. They keep giving, keep showing up, until their presence becomes assumed, ordinary, predictable. The Machiavellian principle is sharper: vanish at your peak. Depart while you're still rising. Why? Because absence at the height of your power transforms you into a myth. A myth grows with every retelling. People fight over your memory. They exaggerate your strength instead of minimizing it. They search for your likeness in others and find only disappointment. When you leave early, you leave space for imagination, and imagination inflates you beyond reality. In power, speculation is stronger than evidence. People always make you larger in the gaps you leave behind. Another law: let others hold the credit. Most think giving credit makes them invisible. Machiavelli understood the opposite: when people believe the success is theirs, they'll protect the system that gave it to them. And if you are woven into that system, they'll protect you too. Behind closed doors, they will shield you, defend your absence, silence critics, not out of loyalty, but because defending you is defending the part of themselves that won. You are no longer just a figure, you are part of their legacy. And men will fight hardest for their own legacy. Finally, leave behind a symbol stronger than your presence. You don't need to be seen to exist. You need an idea, a phrase, a rule, a philosophy that carries your essence without your body. A gesture, a distinct principle, a framework that others repeat without realizing it. Once people invoke your symbol, they extend your reach. If it represents order, progress, or clarity, they'll carry it forward, spread it, enforce it. They'll quote you, mimic your thinking, defend your rules as if they were their own. That's the ultimate victory: when your influence survives without you, when your absence speaks louder than your presence, when others protect your name because it protects their own. Leave the door ajar, but never invite them through. Disappear with mystery, never with closure. Too much access breeds contempt. Too much distance breeds forgetfulness. The Machiavellian method is to linger like a ghost, half present, half gone, keeping hope alive. They start asking, will you return? Was this silence a test, a punishment, or a design? The uncertainty keeps you burning in their thoughts. They reread your words. They scroll through old messages. They compare every new influence against your shadow, and none measure up. You've engineered a void they can't replace. True power isn't fear, it's protection in absence. When people defend you in rooms you never entered, you've achieved immunity. They'll whisper, "You don't understand what they did for us." Or, without them, everything would fall apart. That's not reputation. That's armor. That's legacy. How do you craft it? By protecting without boasting. By solving without advertising. Let people uncover your role on their own. They defend those who never demanded praise, because it feels like holding a secret, and secrets are sacred. While others shout for recognition, you gain silence followed by loyalty. Don't aim to be feared. Aim to be regretted. Fear drives people away. Respect inspires admiration. But regret binds them. Regret makes them linger. The highest prize is when they speak your name with longing. If only we had listened. Or, we didn't realize what we had. Or, it hasn't been the same since they left. Regret is the glue that keeps your image intact. It poisons replacements, makes them look small in comparison, and traps minds in memory. This is what Machiavelli would choose, not worship, but a silent hunger for your return. You don't need to be loud. You only need to be unforgettable. The deadliest illusion in power is mistaking dependence for mastery. The moment you crave their need, you surrender the throne. You stop shaping the system and start serving it. That is how architects become prisoners, enslaved by their own design. The true Machiavellian builds in silence, exits at the peak, and leaves behind a structure that proves his value without his presence. Power isn't in being everywhere, it's in being irreplaceable. And when they depend on you more than you'll ever depend on them, you've crossed into the only state worth chasing, untouchable. If you want to see how this design is built piece by piece, go to the playlist Machiavelli on Power as Design. It's not a lesson in ambition, it's the manual for empire. Power isn't found. It's engineered.